All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So, quality matters. Bringing quality to SJC Online. I don't know. We'll keep playing with the tagline. But just so you know, this is kind of a new thing that we're looking at for San Juan College. One thing I didn't test. Okay. So, first question that you might ask is, what is Quality Matters? Well, according to Quality Matters, it is a faculty-centered peer review process that is designed to certify the quality of online courses and online components. So it's a nationally recognized thing that's been around for over a decade that allows us to review online courses to a standard that is nationally recognized. It's not something that just one college is using. There's over 900 institutions who are subscribers to Quality Matters, and we are one of those institutions. Through the Sun Path grant, they're covering our costs, but we also subscribed before the grant was acquired. So it just helped pay us back once that grant got started. So among that, you might ask, well, what's a peer review? So within QM, or that's short for Quality Matters, so I will probably never use Quality Matters again after this. It's all QM. There's a rubric. It has 43 criteria. We'll go into more detail about that here in a bit. But basically what happens is there's one master reviewer, two peer reviewers, and then one of those three people who are doing the review is a subject matter expert. They understand the content of the course that they're reviewing, okay? And so they review the entire online course. Based off this 43 criteria rubric, it takes typically about 6 weeks to do the review, the initial review. But no course ever fails a Quality Matters review because the review team and the instructor keep working together up to possibly 21 weeks to get that course up to passing. So, and like I said, it never fails. You just keep going. Now, eventually, if you get past that 21 weeks and you're not making any improvements, then it just becomes a standstill, and that course is just kind of put on the bench until that instructor makes those changes or those recommendations. The rubric process, as you're reviewing a course, you're providing detailed feedback on every single item on there that didn't make it. And so that as a reviewer, there's extensive training for that, and you actually learn quite a bit about how to provide great feedback, what to look for, and those kinds of things. One second.
That's going to be the best tech one.
I just muted those of you who are at a distance. We were getting some cat feedback. So, what is the QM rubric? I'm not going to read this, but this is what the official thing is. And so, the biggest focus that QM has is it's with alignment. And so, alignment is you're looking at learning objectives, assessment, content, and course technology, learner engagement, and making sure that they're all aligned with the learning objectives of the course. And so, the focus is always up front, what are the objectives of this online course, and how do everything else in that course, the assessments, content, things that the student, activities that they're doing, everything is linked back to those. And so you're not picking anything in that course that doesn't tie back to those learning objectives.
So Sam, if we already went through a comprehensive outcomes-based program review process when Van Miller was there, we should have a lot of that already done.
Right. Right. A lot of folks, when we start looking at the actual rubric criteria, you'll see, oh, I do that, I do that, I do that. And so what we want to do is, that's why we're introducing it now, let you see the rubric and say, oh, I could tweak this and bam, I'm ready. So that when we start doing actual reviews, we're in that 6-week process, not the 21-week, right? Because that way we can just kind of, I don't really zoom through them, but we're going to start moving through and saying, oh, here's some things that might improve your course, but for the most part, you've passed your Quality Matters certified course, okay? But the key thing is that there are 8 standards within that rubric. The ones that we look at, all 8, And there's learning objectives within all 8 that we criteria. So there's, of those 8, there are 43 things that we're looking at. But it's course overview and introduction, which many of you are already doing in your online class. You provide a good introduction to your course. This is what's going to happen. This is how you're going to turn in your assignments, those kinds of things. Then the learning objectives. If you have a syllabus in your course and that's the primary, but then you might also have other objectives that you are, in your mind, you have a goal. They may not be identified, which with QM, we'd want to make sure that you do identify those other goals. When Curtis and I were doing the initial Canvas training, way back in 2014, 2013, we'd say, well, you have your syllabus objectives that the state says this is what you're going to cover, but what are those 4 or 5 things that you want students to be able to do when you finish this class? Those usually help you sort that unit of the units of your course. How are you going to break this down? Or it's skills that they need to obtain that are above and beyond the objectives that are on the syllabus. And those are the things that you're also trying to make sure that students are covering. With this newest addition, they added competencies, because there's a lot more competency-based education programs that are coming out from other colleges. And so it's not just the learning objectives that we define, but then there's a whole different model of the way that we do assessment through CBE, or course, or competency-based education. And then the third standard is assessment and measurement. So that's all of your quizzes, tests, assignments, how you're making sure that the students know it, your instructional materials. So that's any content that you're providing students. So pages that you use in Canvas, all the way to YouTube videos, the textbook, those kinds of things. Course activities and learner interaction. I always, if you've ever worked with me on an online course, we talk about 3 ways that students are going to interact in your course. Student to student, student to instructor, and the student to content. And so we're looking at those 3 types of interaction in every course, not necessarily every week, but every time that the students throughout the semester should be able to interact in those 3 methods to help build community and help them feel engaged throughout the whole course. The learning objectives tell us what those activities are in those 3 areas. Course technology. For the most part, everyone just uses Canvas, but there may be other technologies that you use within your course to help deliver the activity or content. So somebody may need students to record themselves signing or speaking Spanish in their online course. And so they have to utilize other tech, webcams and those kinds of things. But again, it goes back to those learning objectives. We don't want to choose any technology that's for technology's sake. It was in the learning session during convocation. I think it was Jim Davis that she quoted, we should never be in search of a teaching technology for a purpose. And I just butchered it. And I'll have to find it better and edit this video. But basically, we don't just pick something because it's cool. And you've probably heard me say this before. Don't just use Twitter because that's the cool thing to do if it provides us a need. So example, you decided that you want students to get a word of the day. Practice the vocabulary. If it's Spanish or EMS or whatever, they have vocabulary they need to understand. Well, you find out that, oh, on Twitter, there's some guy that posts a word of the day in Spanish, or the EMS word of the day, or the astronomy word of the day, or whatever. And so you say, well, I'm going to have students get a Twitter account, and they're going to follow that person, and they're going to do all that. And every day they'll get a new word, and it'll be great. And then enter students who don't have the right kind of skill set that you want. They're like, I don't want to have a Twitter account. I think it's from the devil, whatever, right? And so that then basically ruins that whole idea, that this great concept that you had, but it's focusing on the technology. The learning objective is to have students practice their vocabulary. So we work with you to say, well, what technology would help do that exact same thing, but maybe built into Canvas, so students don't have to sign up for a tool, right? And lo and behold, the announcement tool lets you sign up for an RSS feed, which there are RSS feeds for word of the days for every single topic that you'd ever want. And what that does is then every day, it basically posts an announcement in your course for you. So students log into Canvas, they don't have to go anywhere, there's your word of the day. So we're using course technology that meets those learning objectives. Learner support is a lot of what, there's not much that you have to do within your course, because my office and the other offices on campus is what that particular standard is associated with. What supports do our online students have? And so a lot of that's already in place for you, but there are some things that you can do within your course, like, hey, did you know about disability services and those kinds of things? And we try to do our best to get those links out there so you don't have to do anything with it. And then the last standard is accessibility and usability. And so your course has to be accessible for all learners. And that's not just talking about students with disabilities. That could be someone who has a learning disability, or it could just be they're sitting in a room where they can't listen to a lecture. They'd rather just read the notes. And so providing many different ways for students to access the content, and that make sure all students have equal access. So, but it is tied primarily to 508C compliance and those kinds of things that we are federally required to do. And so within all those 8 standards, and as a review, we're looking through all those, making sure the course meets those standards. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So just so I can see how this would look. Like one of my courses right now, I have my students have to sign up for a free account on this other website so that they can utilize the tools that they have, and then they're using that in their discussion boards. So if I were to go, my course was going through this process, they would maybe identify something there and give me suggestions on how to fix that. That would be one part of that.
Possibly. It could also be just giving you recommendations to say, is this the only way to deliver that? And sometimes it is. Like I use Mastering Biology, and it's a homework help site for my class. So my students' scores have gone up 15 to 20 points a semester every time that they strategically use that tool. And so I see it as a valid component of my thing, and it meets my learning objectives of students understanding the content. And so if that's something that they're going to use in your course, and then maybe even in multiple courses throughout the program, then it makes sense to get them, but you then even just provide support material for that so that you teach them how to use that course technology. So is there a question from afar? So just a little bit more to kind of give you a clue about what the rubric looks like, and then we're going to dip over to the actual rubric. So there are 21 what they call essential standards. And so whenever you're doing a review, and we would look, all 3 reviewers look at it, and they say, does it meet the standard or not? And so each person has a vote. 2 of the 3 reviewers have to say, yes, it meets that standard for it to pass. Then you get the full 3 points. There's not an average of the points or anything like that. If 2 of the reviewers say you have it, you got it. 1 person only says it, then you don't get it. And then there's very detailed feedback about how to meet that standard. And so you have to have all 21 essential standards. So that gives you 63 points. You have to get about between 84 and 85 points to pass, to get an 85% pass. And so you'll have to get some of these 2s and 1s to be able to meet up with that particular standard. Does that make sense? It's clear as mud, at least? So I have a okay, so this is the score sheet. It kind of gives you a little bit more clarity. Now this is super tiny, but so you can see each of the standards are over here. The 8 standards are on the left-hand side, and then for this course overview introduction, there's 2 essentials that you have to meet, which is instructors made clear how to get started and where to find course components. Learners are introduced to the purpose and structure of the course. There has to be some sort of something within that provides that. Notice number 2, all 5 are essential. So you have to be identifying your learning objectives, sharing those with students, and those kinds of things. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all of these. This will be shared with you all as we move forward, so you kind of have a sense. But I had to sign my life away to get it, so that's why I'm not just kind of sharing it. Because, you know, with anything that's proprietary, they want to hold on to it and not want this published on the internet and that kind of thing. So all 8, these are all the 43 different standards, and you'll see some have 2s, some have 1s, and then the 3s are the ones that you have to. So one of them is super easy to get because Canvas is so easy to use. Course navigation facilitates ease of use. So if you're using modules, you set your course up the way that Canvas, you know, makes it so easy to do. Bam! I got 3 points. I'm on my way. Right. So there's lots of things in here that you're going to say, well, that's easy to me. And then others are not as easy to me. So I kind of already covered this, but you have to have all 21 of the essentials. And that adds up, and then add up to 85% of having a combination of the others. So have all 3s, have all the 3s, and then 22 more points between the 2s and the 1s to get a passing course. You saw that the 2s, if you got all the 2s, you'd have 28 points. And so you would hit the thing, and those 1s are not as important. Okay? But they are things that if you did all of them and got a 99 out of 99 on this, you would have a very quality built course. Okay? So, quality matters at San Juan College. We've never had this implemented here at the campus. Right now, we're working on collecting people to be in a task force. So if you're interested, I'm looking for at least 1 person from every school. I have a couple schools already, the slot's full. But we're wanting to write our implementation plan that will be completed and approved by Quality Matters by the end of this semester. And then that will outline the next 3 to 4 years to review the 330 plus online sections we had last fall. And who knows, at this point, I don't know how many online sections we have for this term, spring 2016.
So Sam, do you have an idea, just off the top of your head, which school probably has the most online sections that you need to work on? Because I would imagine if that's the case, you would want to have 3 or 4 or 5 reviewers.
Right. So right now on campus, we have 1 peer reviewer. And we're working on getting 2 more. The other online services staff are in the middle of their certification path. But like I said, we will need at least peer reviewers in every school and every department that has online components. Because 1, we need subject matter experts. For those, I mean, I can be a master reviewer. I can tell you how an online course should be built, but I can't tell you if the subject, the way you're teaching your content is good or not. That's you. You guys are going to be doing that. So one of the things that's in our plan is basically what's called internal reviews. We won't do official pay lots of money reviews on all 330 courses. We don't have that kind of money. No one does unless they're like, I don't know, university of something or other, right? So what we'll do is we'll have a kind of a scaled down version where it would be a master reviewer, a peer reviewer, instructional designer, and then the person who teaches the course would work together to review that online class. And as you're getting ready to go into that review, you would take the Applying the Quality Matters rubric training course to get so that you're familiar with the rubric and how it works, and then you'll be able then to participate in that discussion as an educated individual about the rubric.
How long does that take?
2 weeks. I'm about next slide. Too quick, Dean. Stop. So, Applying Quality Matters rubric, or APPQMR, because it's just easier to say and more fun. At QMR than Applying the Quality Matters rubric. So the first course, everyone has to complete that if you're going to become a peer reviewer, or just stay at the. I'm just going to know how to apply it. I don't care about becoming a peer reviewer. But you could, once you finish that course, you have a strong grasp of how the rubric works. You know all of the outcomes, and if you're really studious, you'll have them all memorized. I don't anymore either, but and I'm the facilitator for this class. I have a pretty good, strong sense of how those work. And so you'll be able to then apply it towards the design of your online courses. So even before you're ready to review a course, you'll have a lot of information about the rubric and what the essential things are. And it's very quickly to go through that checklist. Oh, yep, I'm doing that. Oh, I'm not. And then what I want to do is then provide resources as part of our plan, similar to what New Mexico State does. They've been a QM subscriber for a very long time, and all of their courses have to be officially reviewed to even be offered online. At this time, I don't know that that's something that we can do. We are not a state university. However, we do want all of them at least internally reviewed to make sure that we have a quality standard across all of our online classes. But we have one starting February 22nd through March 4th. And so this is my plea to all of you here. If you are interested in taking the Applying the Quality Matters rubric class, let me know by February 17th so that we can get you set up and invite you to the course. Here's the kicker, and maybe even make a little bit encouragement more, is that it does cost money. And if you are only half-heartedly, please don't sign up, because we still have to pay it if you don't finish. So commit to it, finish the course, or Sam will be upset because we gave $25 away that we could have used for somebody else.
Is this going to be online or?
It's fully online.
Okay.
And so what will happen is that on the 22nd, or maybe even the Friday before, you'll get a welcome email from me saying, hey, welcome to the class. Here's how you get logged in. Get in there and start working. And so on Monday morning, it opens up. You start working through it. It takes about 8 to 10 hours for the first week and about the same for the second week. You can work ahead, but I'm giving you feedback as you work through it as you go. And so you can't really wait until the very end of the 2 weeks and try to get it all done. I tried. You know me, I'm a procrastinator. And so I will be very diligent about getting you to get in there and get all your homework done by the end of the first week so that your second week is not so panicky. Because there is actual homework, there's actual work to be done, but when you get done, you have a better understanding of this rubric, and you're able to really make your courses better because of it. So, questions?
Would it be appropriate for someone to go through this that has never seen Canvas before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Brian.
Would you be able to, after taking this course, have like the course that you have standard at the end of the course, or that's not really the?
It's not the goal of this particular course.
That's all I want.
You start collecting ideas about how you would make an online course fit those standards, but then it's going to take some time after the class to kind of implement those things. Utilizing those and use it, oh, I'm going to fix that right now in my course because it's lacking. I could fix that easy. Yeah, there's some things that you could implement right away after going through it. One of the things that this is not, and I thought I had it in my slides, but Quality Matters is only focusing on the design of an online course. It has nothing to do with the facilitation, the actual teaching of a course. So whenever we review a course, we're reviewing a course that's already been taught. And we're going back in and looking at a course that just finished, not in the middle of the semester kinds of things. And so we're not looking at welcome emails that you've done and those kinds of things. We will look at your announcements and those kinds of things. And if you do emails, you provide those in your instructor's document that you can provide the reviewers so that we can see how you're communicating with your students. But for the most part, it is just on the design of an online course. We have other training things like the Green Belt to help you learn how to facilitate an online course, how to do the teaching of it. And just apply my research for my dissertation is going to tweak and become something centered on building a course on how to facilitate an online course and build a community of inquiry. So, but this again is only focusing on the design of the Quality Matters makes that very clear, and I'm basically giving you the answers to like the first 10 questions on the module that you'll start if you didn't go to this class. It's only design, not facilitation. Yes.
So if we take the course and we we'll be a peer reviewer?
Not this course. You'll have completed the Applying the Quality Matters rubric, and so the next step is another 2-week course on becoming a peer review certified. So if you teach online, you can then become a peer reviewer, certified peer reviewer. Or if you're an instructional designer, you can become a peer reviewer or instructional designer. But they do require you to have taught online in the last 18 months to be an official peer reviewer for Quality Matters. Once you complete that class, you'll be an official peer reviewer at San Juan College. You won't be able to review other colleges' courses, but you can review ours. Because we can do internal reviews with people who have that certification. And so if you want to be able, if you are an online instructor, that does allow you to make money as a peer reviewer because they have that database once you pass the class, and then anybody can say, oh, I need that person because all the subject matter I teach, we got hundreds of those. And so I've never been called up for duty. We're going to stay with free. We've got 10 minutes to finish this presentation. So I've never been called to do that review, but some of you who are in a subject matter that might not be very widespread around the country, you might be able to get the opportunity to review other people's courses as a subject matter expert. So, other questions?
When I looked at the rubric that you showed up there, it seemed to be a fairly scaled down version of the expanded rubric that we designed and built.
That's just the one-page score sheet.
Okay.
The actual rubric, I didn't bring it. I was going to bring it. I have it in print form, and it's like this thick. Okay. Because it's not just the standards. It goes into, here's an example of that. It has, I mean, it's very detailed. And once you go through this class, then you have the access to get the full rubric and be able to look through it and then start using it in your courses. It's a lot more detailed than the one that the Institute San Juan tried to adopt a decade ago and just kind of let it fizzle out. If we would have been, never mind, that's Sam's opinion. It's like a cow's opinion. Moo, it doesn't matter. Wait, moo.
You butchered that.
I know I did. So here, I'm going to try to redeem myself. Why did Adele cross the road? To say hello from the other side. All right. Any other questions about Quality Matters?
You know that's recorded now.
Yeah, it's out there.
But you can edit.
I can edit it later. Any questions? So, like I said, please let me know by the 17th, which is Tuesday of next week, end of day, if you're interested in completing the course. If so, you won't have to pay for the class out of your own pocket or your department. That's covered. But that's just kind of like help keep it. And here's the thing, what's nice about it is it's a discount. Because I'm teaching the class, it cut us down by 10%. If we would have had you take it through Quality Matters, it would have been a $250 course. And so by us doing our own facilitation, doing an independent, we only have to charge you $25 per person for the setting up of the course and getting you an account and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, sir.
Do you have an objective in mind that every school should have a peer reviewer and a peer reviewer instructional designer? Or is that?
That, I think a lot of it will be determined through this task force that's going to help with the implementation plan. Based on my thoughts is that we would have to make it spread out so that it's not just one department trying to review 300 courses. It will require us to have peer reviewers and maybe even master reviewers in every school to be able to look at their school's courses. So like occupational safety, IPOP, out of the School of Energy, all of you guys would be, at least somebody from each department would have at least be a peer reviewer. And then I can come in as a master reviewer and be able to help with facilitating those reviews. But I could see, like in humanities, one of the larger schools having to have a lot more than maybe School of Energy, School of Business, Health Sciences, not as many as either. Although the subjects are so varied across health science that we may still have to have someone in every department. So that's why it's going to be a 3 to 4 year process. We're going to see a huge, the first year into it, lots of people applying the Quality Matters rubric, with just a handful of people going through the next step of becoming a peer reviewer, and then doing systematic reviews, 3 to 4 a semester that first year. And then as we get more people, then you'll see more reviews happening, more official reviews for programs that we're sharing through SunPath or those kinds of things. Because that is a requirement for us to continue to share courses with the rest of the state through Sun Online, is to have a QM reviewed course. So
Does it have to be the big review or just the internal?
internal's fine.
Okay.
For some schools. Like I said, New Mexico State requires it to be an official QM review, so they will not adopt one of our courses that was internally reviewed. It has to be an official review. But one of the courses that we will do an official review on is one that's been very popular on that site, which is our Human Development, Site 230 class. We have about 19 people complete that course from other schools in the state, where we're getting money from that because of it. So, alrighty, we got 5 minutes until my recording stops. So, other questions? Let me check the online folks. So if you are attending it remotely, do you have any questions for us? I'll wait 10 seconds. So again, before we do this class again, so we'll have the Applying and Quality Matters rubric, February 22nd through March 4th. I'm looking for we have 20 slots in that course. Some of them are going to be taken up from folks from Santa Fe Community College, but we have at least 10 slots. So if you're interested, let me know as soon as possible so we can get all that taken care of beforehand. And then after midterms, some point before finals in that process, we will offer another Applying the Quality Matters rubric course.
And that's to become a.
No, I can only facilitate this first level course.
Okay.
If that's the next level, that costs more money, and there isn't a way to get peer reviewer status without paying QM for that. They do all that training themselves, and so we wouldn't want everyone to go through peer reviewer training unless we have a big budget. Yes, that would be correct. So if we fill up, there will be 20 more spots open at the second session that we'll be able to fill. Okay? All right, so if you're interested, let me know, email me. And then once I get it all saved and recorded, I'll upload this up to YouTube and send it out to everybody. And if you weren't able to attend, you can at least watch it. Again, you guys work here, so I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, I know some people are hard.
Yeah.
So you'll let us know.
Yep. So I'll just email all faculty again, like I did this morning, and say, here's the link to watch it if you weren't able to attend. Alrighty? Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. Thank you for those of you who are at a distance. And I can wave over here at the camera. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Thank you. You still have 2 minutes.